What's up everyone, welcome to the channel. Today is Friday and today we're going to do a review on my Camaro 2SS 1LE. Now before we dive too far deep into the details of this car, or the review I should say, I did change a few things cosmetically that I think that GM just for some reason didn't finish the way they should have. The first thing is I put these side skirts on. Now you'll notice that the car came with the front splitter, which is in black satin. And you'll see that the car has a rear diffuser in a black satin as well. And it didn't have the side skirts, so I reached out to ACS Composites and purchased these ZL1 style side skirts, which I think look fantastic, and they even came painted in what they call a 1LE black, so it matches very well. Also, you'll notice that the hood on this particular car is it was flat black to begin with, but I decided to rewrap it in a black satin. I think it looks much better. It's a lot easier to keep clean, and we also had the top of the car wrapped in black as well, which I think really ties everything in well together. Now once again, I just want to give a huge shout out to Mad Detailing and Customs. They were the ones that basically did all this work for me. I had ordered the side skirts, they put the side skirts on, they rewrapped the hood, the top of the car, put Expel on the whole front of the car to help protect from rock chips. We also did ceramic coating on the entire car as well to help keep that finish looking good at all times. And yeah, they did a fantastic job. So I'll put a link in the description below, but if you want to have any kind of ceramic coating done to your car or have it wrapped or what have you, definitely check out Mad Auto Detailing and Customs. They will hook you up. So up front, you'll see these massive wheels and brakes on this car. This car comes with 20 by 10 inch wheels on the front, 20 by 11 in the rear, wrapped in Goodyear Eagle F1 supercar tires. They're extremely wide. They're 285 in the front and 305 in the rear. Now to me, that's almost like bonkers. I mean, seriously, these front tires are wider than my rear tires were on my C7 Corvette. Also, you'll notice that the huge brakes, Brembo brakes, it's got 6 piston calipers in the front and 4 piston calipers in the rear. Another thing that this car has is an electronic limited slip differential. Now, some of you may know what that is, but if you don't, basically what that does is, say you're powering out of a corner and one wheel is getting better grip than the other. The car will send more power to whatever wheel is getting better grip to help drive you out the corner. So that definitely is a performance upgrade for sure. This car also has magnetic ride control. Just another thing to consider, this car only comes in a 6-speed manual. So for those of you who are dead set on getting an automatic, this car is not an option for you. Under the hood is the LT1 6.2 liter V8 pumping out 455 horsepower and 455 foot-pound of torque. This car also has NPP exhaust, where you can actually select between having the valves open or closed, you know, depending if you want the exhaust louder or quieter. Now on the inside, you'll notice that this car has a lot of cool features. It's got a nice suede flat bottom steering wheel, beautiful suede gear shift, nice big color touchscreen. Also the air vents, the way you control the temperature is quite different. You actually just turn this dial right here and you can actually change the temperature. Of course, you have your red matching right here. You just click the paddle and then you'll notice that when you're in gear, that light turns from white to like a yellowish orange. That means you're in rev matching mode. And see what other features. Oh, it also has ventilated seats. You just click this button right here, and now you have air that flows through the seats to cool the seats a bit. which is definitely a nice feature when, you know, you're out in the desert and it's 100 and some odd degrees. The car actually also has Android Auto and also Apple CarPlay. So if you want to plug your phone into the USB port, which is in the glove box here, then you can actually have whatever normally comes up on the screen of your phone up onto the screen here, such as Google Maps, Google Play Music, or, you know, things of that nature. Now, one thing I did notice, in this car there is actually no room for a place to set your phone. You can set it here, it flies all over the place. No real place to set it. So actually take that back, there is a spot where you can put your phone. It's not a very big spot, but it is a wireless charging pad. But as you can see, most phones, they don't even fit there, so I really don't know how much you'll be using that. Reached out to a company called ProClip USA, and they have this vehicle specific phone holder, and then you actually get the phone specific adapter that goes onto the plate, and then you have a perfect spot, you know, to keep your phone. That way you can view everything you need to view. So with this mount, the phone is, you know, out of the way. You can easily get to 5th gear, it doesn't interfere, and so a really good spot. So very happy to have this purchase. Now I did used to use one that was mounted to the windshield, but it turns out in the heat, the phone gets too hot, so that's definitely not a good idea. So this is definitely a better solution. It comes with the Recaro race seats, and these seats really hug you very well. I mean, the lateral support that you get here really keeps you in place, and from what I understand, they're more comfortable than even the Grand Sport competition seats in the Corvette. So another thing that this car has is it does have a color heads-up display. Not so sure if it's showing up in the camera, but it shows you your RPM, miles per hour, also what gear you're in as well. So that definitely comes in handy. Very similar to that of the C7 Corvette. Of course, you have all your drive modes. You have snow and ice, which I would never use. You have touring mode, which more than likely I would never use. Has sport mode, which stiffens up the suspension a little bit and also stiffens up the steering a little bit. Then you also have track mode. Now track mode actually stiffens up the suspension even more, and the weight of the steering wheel gets really heavy. It actually feels nice. So then of course you have traction control you can turn off, or you can double click it, then you go into competitive driving mode. Then of course on the steering wheel you have all your typical controls. You can push this button to call somebody, voice activated. This button hangs up. You have your up and down, left and right to scroll through different menus. On this side over here you have everything that activates your cruise control. You also have a button here which will activate your heated steering wheel, which is something I'll probably never use. I don't know, maybe in the wintertime when it's really cold I'll give it a shot. But another feature, once again, that's not necessary, but I might end up using it. Then you can activate all your sub-menus here. On Info, you can on Info, select that. Oil life remaining, tire pressure, fuel economy for the last 50 miles, timer, speed limit. It actually, I guess it works with OnStar or something with the maps and lets you know what the speed limit is in the area you're at. Engine hours, idle hours, mile per hour, your trip, distance to empty, things like that. Let's see what else. Under performance, you have your G-force meter here, 0 to 60 timer. This is your lap timer if you're doing track events and stuff. This is your oil temperature, oil pressure, trans fluid temp, tire temp, electronic limited slip differential, wheel slippage. Let's see what else. Audio for your radio stations, phone, lets you know whether your phone's connected, things like that. I normally just leave it on information. I tend to just like to leave it on fuel range. That way I know when to get gas. And the car also comes with a sunroof that tilts up and then actually slides back over the top of the car, which looks pretty cool. Honestly, I don't care too much for a sunroof. That wasn't a big issue of whether or not I really wanted one or not, but it's kind of nice to have it. So we're behind the wheel of the Camaro 2SS 1LE. I must say this is a pretty amazing car. I've had the car for about a month and a half. And coming from a Corvette, I really don't feel like I've given up any performance. I mean, this car accelerates extremely smooth. The steering feel is great. I really like how everything is laid out. Clutch is, has a nice light feeling to it. The gear shifter, you know, it feels really good. It's in a good position, and this car is a lot of fun. I've actually taken it up to the mountains a couple times and done the junction between Kyle Canyon and Lee Canyon. And let me tell you, this thing is so confidence-inspiring. It is unbelievable. Now, you're going to find me kind of comparing this to the Corvette quite a bit because, let's face it, this car has a lot of the same features and handling characteristics. In fact, I don't even know why people aren't really talking about this car too much. You hear everyone talking about the Z06, you hear everyone talking about the Camaro ZL1, the ZL1 1LE, but nobody's really talking about the SS 1LE, which is a shame, because this car is a bargain. This car fully loaded the way it sits right here, I was able to pick it up brand new for $47,000. Now to put that into perspective, if you were to get a Corvette, whether it be a C7, you know, fairly optioned out like this, you're going to be spending a minimum of $70,000. And if you want a Grand Sport, you're probably going to be spending upwards of $80,000 to $85,000. Now the performance difference is minimal, and that's what's very surprising. This car does 0 to 60 in like 4 to 4.2 seconds. The Grand Sport, 0 to 60, 3.9. That's a very small difference. Also on the track, such as Willow Springs, I believe the Grand Sport did a lap in like a minute and 32 seconds, and I believe this car did it in a minute and 28 seconds. That's only a 3-second difference. You know, actually 4 seconds. Sorry, my math isn't so good. But the bottom line is, the performance is very marginal in the difference, but the price gap is huge. I watched a few videos on this car, and there was one video that actually interested me quite a bit, and that was that Randy Probst took this car on a racetrack, and he really only had 2 complaints about it. The first complaint was that the throttle response wasn't nearly as progressive as he would like, but other than that, the only other complaint is the fact that he doesn't have one. One thing that kind of came to my mind as to maybe why people aren't talking too much about this car. Well, first of all, this is a GM product just like the Corvette, and the last thing that Corvette owners want to believe is that a car that costs considerably less can handle almost as well. And that's a hard pill to swallow, and I get that. I was a Corvette owner for a long time, and I'll tell you, I would have never guessed that a Camaro is this good. Now, I can't necessarily speak for the standard SS. You know, I'm referring to the 1LE package, which definitely gives you, you know, quite a bit of different performance, you know, upgrades, such as, you know, bigger wheels and tires, upgraded brakes, a limited slip differential, Recaro race seats, magnetic ride control. The list goes on and on. Sure, it's an extra $7,000, but if you plan on taking this car on the track or you like performance driving, it is well worth it. One thing you'll notice about this car right away is in the corners, this car feels completely planted. It's one of those few cars that you can drive that actually makes you want to go faster. It just says, hey, I got you. It's just incredible. Steering is very precise, the turn-in is excellent, and the grip is just mind-boggling. Can't wait to get this thing on the track. It's going to be an absolute beast. like we found somebody to play with. Fun while it lasted. So to sum it all up, I have to say the Camaro 2SS 1LE is one hell of a bargain. Like I said before, for under $50,000 you can have a car you can take straight from the dealership onto a racetrack and whoop some butt. I mean, this car is just, couldn't be happier with it. So I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you do, please give it a thumbs up. If you're checking in for the first time, please subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.